Hello and welcome back. So this is video number 4 when it comes to the Excel series. That's the KVN Excel series. And in this point here, I actually do have a table here. And in this case, I would actually want to pull the price alone. And in this point, I would also want to pull the code and the price. So these are two scenarios. And before we actually focus on these scenarios, yes, I would first of all urge you to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that we can build the biggest data or Excel community. I want us to build the biggest Excel community. So kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I would also want you to follow my X account here so that we can build the biggest X account on Excel too. So for the daily tips and acts, also follow this page. So let's now check on the first scenario here. So given that this is actually my first, so given that this is actually my table array, we can actually obtain the price for the laptop. You can actually check that the price for the laptop is $300 and the price for the phone is basically equivalent to $200. So in our invoice sheet, we would actually want to pull the price for the laptop and also pull the price for the phone only. So one of the things that you will actually realize in the VLOOKUP function, I will actually address this later on when it comes to the common mistakes that people actually do when it comes to the VLOOKUP. Make sure that in the VLOOKUP, make sure that when you are using the VLOOKUP, the lookup value must actually be in the first column of the table array. Like in my case here, you can actually check that items are actually on the first column of the table array. That's actually a necessity. So that's actually the first rule when it comes to the VLOOKUP function. So don't worry about that too much. We'll actually check on the common mistakes later on. That is later on in the next coming videos. So we'll actually address that properly. No big worries there. So in this point here, because we would actually want to obtain the price for the laptop only, so it's equivalent to VLOOKUP like that. Then you open it, it will ask you for the lookup value, which is actually on O12. That lookup value is the one I actually told you that it must be on the first table. It must be on the first column of the table array. So this is basically my table array. Select the table array like that. I've included the headers in my case. So select the table array like that. Then you can actually check that item, which is actually where the laptop is. Item, where the laptop is actually on the first column of the table array. Just like that, comma. So in this point, we want to obtain the price, and price is actually on column number 3 of the table array. Item is column number 1 of the table array. Code is column number 2 of the table array, and price is column number 3 of the table array, comma. Are you obtaining the approximate match or the exact match? I am obtaining the price for the laptop exactly, or specifically the laptop. So exact match. So false for exact or 0 for exact. So it can be false or it can be 0. So that's it. You close it, enter on the keyboard. Now I have the price for the laptop to be equivalent to $300. Double click on this point here. So the price for the phone is also equivalent to $200. So before actually, if I can double click on this point here, you can actually check that the red line has actually extended to L20 and it should have actually been L19. So you can double click on the first one there and lock this. So to lock these ones here, you have to press F4 on the keyboard. Press F4 to actually lock. Then now hit enter like that. Then go to the first cell there, double click on it again. It will actually be the same 200. Now, if I click on that, you can actually check that it's not getting into the row number 20. So that's it. So to lock these cells, you have to press F4 on the keyboard. So that's it. Now in this point here, I would actually want us to address on this scenario where we have to obtain the where we have to obtain two items, which is actually the code, yes, which is actually this one here, and also the price, which is also this one here. So before we actually address on that, let me take you to my website, which is actually on process. So on this point here, you will actually realize that I will be selling the Excel courses here, AI in BI, AI in Excel, core Excel, like that, data lookup and reference. This is where you have the VLOOKUP function, XLOOKUP, index match, and many more. So I actually do have a lot of them. Yes, and I'll just be getting you all this, even inclusive, all this inclusive of the statistical test. Yes, we have the t-test, we have the f-test, we have the z-test, all of them. So all these pivot tables, macros and automation, Power Query, conditional formatting, formulas and functions, all this at just $100. You can imagine all this at just $100. So imagine the full bundle will actually get the full bundle will actually be going at $945. So imagine from $945 to $100. Initially, it's actually $1,890. So from $1,890 all the way to $100 is not even a bargain. You have just been given all this almost at a free price. Now, in this point here, I'm also addressing on the templates. So you can actually get me some work. I'm also addressing the templates. So you can also get me some work to design the templates for you, the ultimate business dashboard templates, personal finance, HR trackers and payroll, trackers, sales performance trackers, many of them. So I can design for you a template and also manage for you, and you will be paying just $50 a month. Just imagine that. Isn't that a deal? That's a deal, right? Now, in this point too, you can also check that you can get me some tasks so that I can be doing for you every month, and you will be paying also every month. That's Cloud in Excel prompting, dashboards and charts, automation, pivot tables and models, Power BI, financial forecast, inclusive of the templates management. Do you know the price for all this? Just $550. Just imagine. So all this at just $550 a month. That's a very big bargain. On this end too, you can just get me the one-time task again, AI powered dashboard design going at $150, AI data analysis and insights $200, AI automation and smart macros $250, AI enhanced Power BI reports going at $300. So this is a whole bargain, and I'll be glad if you actually get me the task. This here is the email. This here is my email, and you will actually use. So this here is actually my email, and just contact me using this email, and we'll actually talk business. So let's now continue. So let's pull the code before we actually pull the price. So in pulling the code, it will be is equivalent to VLOOKUP, just like that. You open, it will ask you for the lookup value, which is actually the chair on my case, comma, the table array. This is actually the table array, another comma, the column index number. So I would actually want to pull the code. Code is actually on column number 2 of my table array. Item is actually column number 1. Code is actually column number 2. So 2 like that, comma. I would actually want to obtain the code for the chair exactly. So the chair exactly. So exact match. Just like that, I close and hit enter on the keyboard. I have CH001. So the code for the chair is actually CH001. So in this point here, allow me to actually lock the table array so that it cannot spill downwards when I actually drag. Now remember, in this point here, if I actually double click on this point or drag, you can actually check that it has actually spilled, although it has no effect on my case because this cell is actually empty. But it's actually good for you to actually know that you should be locking it in case you might be having some cells on this point here being occupied or having some values. So that's it. So let's actually go up there and lock it. So H10 to L19, select, press F4, hit enter on the keyboard. Then you just have to double click on it again, just like that. So that's all for the code. Now for the price. In this point here, you actually realize that when it comes to the VLOOKUP, we will be doing one by one. But when it comes to the XLOOKUP, the XLOOKUP will actually do, in the XLOOKUP, you will actually just write one formula and it will actually obtain for you for the code and also for the price. But when it comes to the VLOOKUP, we'll actually be doing one by one. So we are actually done with the code. Now we are actually going to the price. So we type in the formula again. But if it was the X lookup, we could have just typed one formula in this point here where we were actually looking for the code, then drag it to the left, then it could have actually obtained us the code and also the price in just one formula. But for the VLOOKUP, we have to write two formulas. So let's go, no problem. So open the VLOOKUP function like that. Then it will ask you for the lookup value, which is actually chair, which is actually on 017, comma. It will also ask you to identify the table array. So select the whole of this to be the table array. Then comma again, it will ask you for the column index number. The column index number is actually 3. Why 3? Because price is actually in column number 3 of my table array. So item is actually column number 1 of my table array. Code is actually column number 2 of my table array, and price is actually column number 3 of my table array. Comma. Are we obtaining an approximate match or an exact match? In this point here, we are actually obtaining an exact match. I would actually want to obtain the price for chair exactly. So chair is actually on this point here. Yes, and the price is actually $150. So exact match. So double click on it. It's actually false or just a 0. Close it, enter on the keyboard. It's actually $150. Double click again so that you can actually press F4 to lock this. So press F4 like that. Hit enter on the keyboard. It's $150. Then double click on this point to fill the price for the clock, which is actually equivalent to $20. Just like that. So in this point, we have actually pulled the price, and we have also seen how you can pull for the multiple columns for the code and the price. So that's all. I hope you have actually followed my That's all. I hope you have actually subscribed to this YouTube channel and also followed me on my X account so that we can build this community together. So make sure you also reach me out for the projects and everything so that we can actually make work easier. Thank you and stay tuned for the next video.